Hey guys, this is the first time that I am doing this, which is why I'm going to actually perform for you a little bit of a song or part of a song to talk a little bit about my intentions as a performing artist and my way of working. That's because I'm really interested in the idea of working in a collective sense with other performing artists and experts to produce messages about peace and non-violence, right? To work in quite a didactic way. Now, I've always written songs with a lot of intention behind them. I don't like to produce a song that doesn't sound very coherent. And so I like my songs to be quite clear in their messages. And dare I say it, maybe to offer some education around an issue. Because I'm also a social worker, I have a background and a lot of experience working in social work. I have a fair amount of knowledge of applied psychology as well as sociological and socio-political information that I can impart through my songs. So, without further ado, I'm going to perform the song Mr. Joy. All right, here goes. Now, do forgive me because I'm trying to get my sound right, figure out how to do this on Instagram and on social media. So we'll see how the quality of the sound comes across. When she sees him in the morning and his face is soft as peace, she knows the only time he is at peace is when he's sleeping. If he knew what she was thinking as he lay there, he'd be outraged. He'd punch her out and lock her up and feed her soup for 10 years. She thinks, Mr. Joy, thank God you can't read my mind, Mr. Joy. It's the only thing I can hide, Mr. Joy. I might leave and I'll never come back, Mr. Joy. Then whose eyes will you bash black, Mr. Joy? So, that was the beginning of Mr. Joy. So the chorus is, thank God you can't read my mind, Mr. Joy. It's the only thing I can hide, Mr. Joy. I might leave and I'll never come back, Mr. Joy. Then whose eyes will you bash black, Mr. Joy? So obviously Mr. Joy is a sarcastic term, and the point of this song, it's a ballad, is to describe very briefly elements that make up domestic violence, and particularly things like not just the physical and sexual abuse, which is mentioned briefly in the first verse. And so we've got to assume that at this point the victim, survivor, is a pretty long way into the relationship and has experienced quite a lot of abuse and is in a very bad place. And she is contemplating or thinking about the fact that at least he can't actually read my mind. He doesn't know what I'm going to do. He doesn't know that I'm going to leave, right? She understands that she can't negotiate She can't talk openly and honestly with her partner about her issues because he's a dangerous guy, okay? So that particular song is a song I wrote 20 years ago. It's a long time ago now. I've played it many, many, many times. You can access it on my SoundCloud site under Bridie Nancy. You can also buy it on iTunes. And the point in my promoting that is also because what I'm trying to do is really own the fact that this is who I am. I'm a performing artist who likes to produce work that has a kind of a didactic element to it. And I suppose one of the big issues I used to have as a younger singer-songwriter was the fact that in the late 90s and in the 2000s, we were going through this very vapid commercialized phase in the music industry where basically particularly young women were being encouraged to be hypersexualized, or a lot of artists were encouraged to give the appearance of depth. But when you listen to their lyrics, you'd be like, well, what does that mean, really? It's a great song, it's catchy, it sounds quite poetic, but actually when you listen to the lyrics, what do they mean, right? So I've always been someone who wanted to write things that made sense. I didn't want to put something out there that was so poetic that no one really understood what it meant. And so that's me, that's Bridie Nancy. There'll be more of these to come talking about this kind of work. And I'm very interested in working with other performing artists who may want to write and produce works, maybe multi sort of dimensional works, so multimedia, using original music, playwrights, people who want to create theatre and performance, but with a sort of an awareness raising component, but also as we're moving forward into hopefully an era where people are starting to become more aware, basically, aware of social justice, and that we can start to create something together that's also imagining a better world. We can start to work with experts in different fields. If you're someone who's passionate about the environment, maybe as a performing artist you want to do a piece on the environment and some innovative solutions that people who are really at the cutting edge of technology might be able to offer to bring into that performance, to provide information to the general public, but in a manner that's interesting. Same goes for anything else, like this theme I've just been talking about with domestic or family violence. And I'm not just talking about male violence against women, I'm also talking about violence in general, which people of all different types of identities may be capable of if they have issues in their development that lead to them kind of behaving on that narcissistic spectrum. And so that's one theme. Again, there are other themes as well. The general concept of peace work is really about, we've got, as I've talked about in a previous video, we've got peace work in the negative mode, which is about trying to take away violence, trying to remove it, trying to stop it, disarmament, and various sort of things, often that happen more at the macro level, macro political level. But we're also talking about peace work in the positive mode, which is more about what we can do on a grassroots level. And it may sound all hippie-ish, it may sound very sort of like utopic, a bit silly, a bit pie in the sky. You might say, yeah, but while we've got, you know, this country doing this and that leader doing that, how can we ever hope for peace in the world? And you're absolutely right. There's no need to feel you've got to believe in sort of really unrealistic, utopic things. But it's more about what can we do to begin to build or create or give purpose to our lives to contribute to a better world. And it can just take one little initiative over here, starting a community garden that educates kids on where vegetables come from, so they can start to really appreciate and respect the land a bit more, and understand why we need to work more with the land and Mother Nature, and respect Mother Nature, respect the animals more. Or it might be about helping people figure out ways into employment. It might be about, if you're an economist, it might be about improving and building upon society's ability to be economically viable, to increase gross domestic product for individual households, to lift people out of poverty. So those are all things that contribute to peace, and those are all also examples or themes that can be addressed through the performing arts, and that we as performing artists can give a voice to in interesting and creative ways that make things engaging. So I invite you to get in touch with me if what I'm saying interests you. And otherwise, have a really wonderful rest of your day. I hope you've had a great weekend and have a lovely week to come. Bye for now from Bridie Nancy.